Yes.
Perfect.
Let's wait a few minutes for the other participants.
I also moved our second student speaker to the main room.
Yes, she's here. She's here. Thank you, Susan.
People are coming in.
Yes. Yes. 2 more minutes and we can start. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. For all of us, organizers and speakers at today's webinar, it's a great pleasure to be with you and to continue with the very interesting webinar series for library and information science students. You can see here the title of today's webinar, Librarians Shaping the Open Educational Resources Agenda, Navigating Copyright, Open Educational Resources Advocacy, and Infrastructure Solutions. And this series of webinars are brought by the IFO Division C and by the section on education and training. And we have already a long history since, I think, 2022. We are organizing this series on important topics for the library professionals, the university teacher in library sciences, and of course, of interest for the young generation of students in library and information sciences. I will provide you with some information about the rules we are using during the implementation of the webinars. This event is being recorded, including the chat. And after the webinar, the video will be posted on YouTube and also on the IFO Division C webpage, and on the webpage of the section on education and training, and also promote it through different social networks channels. Microphones have been muted for this event, but you will have the opportunity to write your questions or comments using the questions and answer box. The questions can be addressed to all of our speakers, and after the presentations, they will be able to answer to your questions. I would like to say a few words concerning today's topic. It's really nice that we have gathered today to discuss the very diverse topic of open educational resources, because it touches upon traditional library skills and tasks, but needs stepping up and communication at the same time. As a new field which is under development, the open educational resources also need advocacy and awareness raising amongst teachers and communities, which requires proactive outreach, communication, and collaboration. At today's webinar, we will have three speakers: an experienced library professional from Switzerland, a bachelor student from Bulgaria, and a PhD graduate from Nigeria. I will briefly introduce the speakers and their topics, starting with our keynote speaker. The keynote speech will be given by Mrs. Nicole Kruger, who is open science professional in open educational resources and open access at the University Library of the Zurich University of Applied Sciences in Switzerland. Nicole graduated from the University of Applied Sciences in Hanover, Germany. She has worked at the Leibniz Information Center for Economics in Kiel, Germany, and is an author of a number of publications related to open educational resources and open science in peer-reviewed journals, books, and conference proceedings. Mrs. Kruger is a member of the Special Interest Group in Open Educational Resources in Switzerland, and has co-chaired the LIBER Educational Resources Working Group in the period 2022-2024. In her keynote speech, Nicole Kruger will talk about how the librarians are shaping the open educational resources agenda. How do they navigate copyright, open educational resources advocacy, and infrastructure solutions? Before giving the floor to Nicole, I will say a few words about the other two speakers and the focus of their presentations, starting with Victoria Ibrahimova, who is a bachelor student in Library and Information Sciences and Knowledge Management at the University of Library Studies and Information Technologies in Bulgaria. Victoria is very active in different international projects implemented by the university. And in her presentation, she will speak about a student experiment demonstrating an open education in action. Our second student speaker is Uadapu Yemisi Ouremi, who holds a PhD degree in Library and Information Sciences from the University of Ilorin, Nigeria. She is a deputy librarian and head of the Reader Services Unit at Olusegun Oke Library in Wadoke. Dr. Ouremi will talk about the role of open educational resources in supporting inclusive and sustainable health education. So now, before giving the floor to our keynote speaker, I would like to remind you about the opportunities offered by our section on education and training. Please follow us, check our webpage about forthcoming events, and also about the events organized by our professional division at IFWA. We will continue with this series of webinars for library and information sciences, and also we are organizing many other interesting events. So we will be glad to continue being in touch with you. And now, now I will give the floor to our keynote speaker, and we are really eager to hear her presentation. She will review to us the basic principles of open educational resources, focusing on copyright and Creative Commons licensing. Then she will continue with presenting the good practices of using and promoting the open educational resources at the Zurich University of Applied Sciences and the role of the librarians. Mrs. Kruger will finish her presentation, reflecting on how the rapid growth of artificial intelligence tools influences the creation, transformation, and use of open educational resources. Nicole, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for your very kind introduction and also for inviting me to this talk. It's a real honor to be here today. And welcome also from my side to this very international audience. A few words about my university, Zurich University of Applied Sciences. We have about 15,000 students, about 3,500 staff, and our 8 departments are across 3 sites, shared at 3 sites in Winterthur, Zurich, and Wädenswil. And here in the picture, you see our main building of the university library. And here at the university library is also the location of our OER team. We have 4 persons in our OER team. This is around 2 full-time equivalents. So we support all this amount of students and staff with 2 full-time equivalents. And I'm very happy to share how we approach this. As Marina said, I want to dive into this topic of OER in 3 sections. I want to first start with a broad view. What are OER and how are they connected to libraries? The second step is more practical and hands-on for an inspiration how a single university can tackle this topic and support OER and push this topic, put this on their agenda. And the third part is about connection of AI to OER and what will be the developments there. A quick outlook. So here is this definition of the UNESCO of OER, and it's really interesting to have this definition in nearly every article, every talk about OER. I think I never saw a single other topic where there's such a broad agreement upon a definition. And UNESCO defines OER as open educational resources that are learning, teaching, and research materials in any format and medium that have been released under an open license that permit no-cost access, reuse, and redistribution by others. So this is what I will be talking today. And in short, this definition comes down to OER come in every format. In the Anglo-American higher education landscape, it was predominantly about textbooks, usually to save student costs on textbooks. In Europe, it was more about multimedia and interactive materials like tutorials, worksheets, videos, such materials which are anyways created in classroom settings and which should be shared, open access and for free access with a broader community. But all of these movements around OER and whatever material you create these movements have in common that Creative Commons licenses, open licenses are required to make an OER. And this is also what the UNESCO states in their definition. Now, why is this necessary? Why do we need these open licenses when we talk about sharing materials openly? This is because Creative Commons are licenses that are applied to materials free of charge and for users to be reused free of charge that allow third-party users to redistribute a material. We all know that generally, if we find materials on the internet, images, videos, or text, books, etc., we cannot redistribute them, reuse them in our own courses and materials openly. We can probably, I mean, this is depending on national copyrights as well. Usually we can share them with our own classroom. This is allowed by copyright. But if we want to share this with a broader audience, we need the permission of the authors. And the permission here comes in form of these Creative Commons licenses. So wherever you find a material with such a label attached, this Creative Commons label, you will be allowed to reuse this material, revise it, adapt it, and redistribute it with your broader public audience free of charge. These Creative Commons licenses come with some certain conditions, but I don't want to dive deeper into that. But so this is really the enabler of sharing and distributing materials more widely, translating materials into other contexts, other languages, and again, redistributing them openly for a broad audience. So in my eyes, OER are really at the core of library values and library conception. For example, here from the vision of IFLA, they state that libraries are dedicated to equal and free access to information and knowledge, and that libraries remain deeply committed to supporting literacy, learning, and reading. And I think this is a basis where we can all agree upon that this is what libraries do and which is in our basic understanding of libraries and library values. So if a few decades ago we could only share our printed holdings with library users on site, this is again in the picture on the right side. A little later we could also grant remote access to paid ebooks, e-journals, etc., to our registered users, which came on site registered as users, and we could distribute them with materials from home that they could read our materials with an access through the library card. But today we had the chance to support open educational resources on a global scale, shared free of charge beyond the library. So I think this is a topic which libraries should definitely deal with. Also, more other mainstream topics can be addressed with OER, like the Sustainable Development Goals. And I'm really happy to hear this talk later from our one student presentation. There are some societal goals from the UN, which can be supported with the OER movement, but also ecological goals. For academic libraries, OER are also an integral part of open science. And this is, for example, because OER create a broader access to scientific knowledge. Not everyone can read the research articles because they have this research language and come in very detailed descriptions of methods and so on, which not the broad public wouldn't maybe be able to understand. But OER break down this information into educational materials, and they democratize the access to scientific knowledge. We can, for example, name OER as an enabler of citizen science, where a broader public is included into the research process. Last but not least, OER can also support new forms of teaching and learning. And here, David Wiley coined a term, the OER-enabled pedagogy. And he also promoted this a lot. So if you want to know more about this, you can follow him in his blog or read his papers. In the OER-enabled pedagogy, the students become creators. They create their own projects and they publish them on the web, either in co-creation with their teachers or in groups on their own. And this is first a democratization of the education process. Students take a more active part in designing the learning outcome and the learning process. They acquire digital skills. But this, again, it's an open education. It's a form of open education because students go public and share the output of their work openly for others to reuse. But they need OER in this process to build upon if they want to share openly their project outcome. So OER, this is because it's also called OER-enabled pedagogy, because students use OER, existing OER, which they can then build upon and adapt and develop in their own projects. So we come to our first conclusion, and the first section is at an end. Copyright and Creative Commons licensing is central for OER. So if we at libraries want to deal with OER and support the topic, we should know more about these topics in order to support our teachers with this. Because after the definition of UNESCO, there is no OER without an open license. So open licensing is central. But once we acquired this knowledge and we tackle this topic and take it on our agenda, we can really use OER to support our general library goals or support further mainstreaming goals of libraries and society, like sustainable development, open science, but also what I didn't dive deeper into, diversity, accessibility, more access to education for diverse groups of users. And again, OER can support new forms of teaching and learning. Now, how did we go and approach the topic in our own library at ZHAW? I thought about if I should share information about the large international movements and projects. But I thought that it would be maybe more inspiring to hear how a certain university, how a certain institution decided to approach this topic. So because this is really hands-on, and I hope I can give you some insights for practical reuse in your own library. First, again, we did some upskilling in copyright and Creative Commons licenses, but we already had a lot of know-how in this topic, in this area, from the eMedia team, from the open access team, from the distance lending team. So we just needed to gather this information and read a little more and connect to our legal division in the university to raise some questions and so on. So we created a knowledge base for the topic of copyright and also Creative Commons, but offered a service to address us with questions on copyright altogether. So if a teacher from the university had copyright challenges for his material, even if it wasn't really about OER, they contacted us, and in the course of advising them, we could also highlight the benefits of OER and open licensing. We created checklists, courses, and individual support. So this was the first step on our road to supporting OER. The next step was networking. We really reached out to everyone who would be dealing with teaching materials and eventually publishing OER, like e-learning support teams, MOOC production teams for massive open online courses, the ZHAW faculty and teachers, but also open access and open research data teams. There were strategic programs like ZHAW Sustainable, ZHAW Digital, and they really strongly supported us and saw the close connections of OER to their focus topics. So we reached out and investigated how they think about OER, what do they know about that. We raised awareness and taught in classes and made roadshows to visit the departments to bring about more information about the topic. This was a very important basis for us to create an OER policy, because based on these connections in the departments with the certain stakeholders, we could co-create and develop an OER policy. We created such a draft, and eventually in 2020, the rectorate signed this policy, and this was an especially important step for us to have this policy, because with this we could go out again to our network, but also to other teachers and groups of the university. And we could also say the management of the university is behind this topic. They think it's important. We want to push it. And we had this really the statement of the university governance board and the rectorate that the topic is important, and then we can pursue with this. The next step was something we identified, that we are the OER team at the library, located at the library, and we have our skills to develop the support, but we are not the creators of OER. The creators are the teachers at the departments. And somehow we realized that this was important to connect them with each other, to get into the discussion with each other, also about challenges of OER, but practices, maybe incentives, which they would require to invest more time into this and so on. So we built up a community. It's an online platform where discussions about OER take place, but we also once a year create events in the evening for a few hours where teachers and stakeholders, they themselves offer workshops on OER, and we get into discussions with our users, which is really important for us, for the OER team as well, to know what are the requirements, which services they need, and so on. So librarians are very strong and a very good starting point for OER, because they are a central and neutral institution within the university. And so this was also a good place to connect everyone from the university, be it teachers, e-learning support teams, MOOC teams, other agencies like the ZHAW Sustainable team. So I think the library is really the right place to host OER services. Here I can show just a very quick peek into a project which we did with students to raise awareness about OER very early in the careers. We made a competition for students to create OER on sustainability topics and help them with the copyright issues, with the licenses, and got in touch with the students as well about their concerns and their requirements and their know-how on these topics of openness and publishing on the web. And in the end, with the support of our community and the teachers there, which reviewed the students' materials, we could publish students' OER on the web. And this was a really nice and successful project. Where librarians especially are in their strong position is metadata. And we already know from open access that repositories for open access publications are usually hosted in libraries. Here for OER, we decided for another path, not to host our repository in the institution, but think on a broader scale and create and coordinate a national repository with a Swiss-wide university infrastructure provider, Switch, and several other universities. And here at ZHAW, we were responsible for metadata questions standards and metadata classifications, the OE registration of materials, and so on. And I'm a little behind in the time, but I'm pulling through, and I'm finished in a minute. I think librarians can really be strong in this field. They can support teaching, they can be innovators, they can be communicators. And here is a project which we just won a few months ago from a national grant institution, which is called Swiss Universities. And here at the second arrow, you see that the university library is in charge here. We built our own AI tool for the support in the creation process of OER, amongst other things. And the interesting thing is we have our cooperation with the department where they do the technical implementation, but the library is in charge of the project and is in the leading position here. So this is a second conclusion. We have a large skill set in libraries which match with OER support and development, teaching, setting up repositories, metadata, copyright and licensing. But also, as Marina in the introduction mentioned, it needs proactive outreach, communication, and collaboration, project management, and innovation. And I think this makes this topic of OER, which is dynamic and relatively new at universities, so inspiring and interesting for librarians to step up and build up their strength in the communication and networking at the university as well. About OER and AI, I don't want to mention too much. Our student speaker will delve into this much more. I just want to talk about the connection of the materials and AI, not so much about the education, the open education and AI. So who wants to read more about this should go into this publication of the UNESCO, the Dubai Declaration on Open Educational Resources from 24. Here they point out several advantages which AI brings about for the development of OER. I just mentioned point B here, which is maybe new or an inspiring idea, that AI can be used to easily transfer OER and materials, educational materials, in text-to-speech format in other languages, create subtitles for more diverse access. So there are many areas where we struggled with time and resources before in the creation of OER, which is now very strongly supported with AI. But there are also challenges, and they are mostly about privacy rights, because AI take materials for training, also data protected data information like voices or faces from videos, audio are used for training. And under point C, the authors of these materials, they attached the Creative Commons license even before AI was on the market, even if before it was the horizon. And they couldn't decide upon this reuse. And this is quite critical. And now authors of OER often think, what will the AI do with my material? And so there's also a challenge in the discussion around OER and artificial intelligence. Sorry for being so quick in the end and for taking too much time. But my last call for action maybe in the section of OER related to AI. Let's take a critical stance towards the developments also while we explore the chances. And let's try and shape not only the OER movement, but also the AI development in terms of education support in a human-centered and learner-centered way. So thank you very much. I'm at the end and happy to hand over or answer questions.
Thank you very much, Nicole, for your very inspiring presentation. And while we are waiting for the audience for questions, I would like to remind something important I have missed in the beginning. My colleague Susan List has already written on the chat. You can download the presentations of our speakers using the resources section on Zoom. You can go where are the options for more tools, and under resource sections, you can download the presentations during the webinar. And while waiting for questions, I would also say a few words about the team organizing the webinars, because I also missed this in the beginning. So the team consists of our chair, Albina Krimskaya. She is the chair of the section on education and training. And the other two members of the team is my colleague Susan List Trethan, who is a standing committee member of the section on education and training, and she is also working in the Austrian Library Association. I'm also happy to be part of the team. I am Marina Encheva, Associate Professor at the University of Library Studies and Information Technologies in Bulgaria. Let's check about questions. You can use questions and answers box or the webinar chat, but better the questions and answers box. While waiting for your questions, probably I can start. For me, it was really interesting as a person working in university environment to hear about the processes you went through during the implementation of the open education resources policy of your university, Nicole. And you demonstrated that the librarians did great work, but probably they also met some challenges. And can you please share which were the major challenges in front of the university librarians when they started to support the implementation of the policy and this active communication with different players from the university? Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. This is really something which one usually leaves out on the way and leaves behind oneself. But our strategy was always acting with a willing. I mean, identify the champions and those who have a connection anyway. Or, for example, when we approached teachers, we used searched on the web who already published something, created MOOCs or did something on YouTube or other platforms, Zenodo, etc. And we found some ZHAW teachers and got in touch with them. We didn't approach everyone on a broader scale and ask, what do you think about OER? But identified those who were already in favor and understanding the benefits of this. And then we connected them. And I have to say that our rector at that time, I mean, he changed now, but this was several years ago. He was the president of the delegation of open science, and he was really much convinced already of the open science movement. But in our luck, he didn't separate the science part from the education part, but also understood that education and open education is part of this. So I think other institutions, it always depends on the institution how quickly you can go forward with creating a policy. But I think this message of acting with those who are already willing and don't put too much barriers in your way or only criticize the topic or challenge the topic and are more on the way of competition in their section, but act towards collaboration and sharing. If you combine them, connect them, and discuss with them and support them, it's a very good start. And they will be the early adopters, like with other techniques. And the strategies, like the UNESCO, you can always point out that the UNESCO is supporting this. Maybe you have national strategies on that eventually, which you can rely on and bring forward to your stakeholders. So I think even if you start with a small capsule of agents and creators or interested persons, you can already move something.
Thank you very much. You touched these issues already, but there is some additional questions following the questions I addressed to you. What are the key responsibilities of librarians in supporting open educational resources? Do you have something to add to already shared by you?
So in our institution, the main responsibility is copyright advice. So we already have some knowledge, know-how with our colleagues before on copyright issues, because a library always deals with copyright in their holdings, with whom they can share that, to whom they can distribute their digital materials, etc. So copyright advice is a very, good service as a starting point, which librarians already have know-how in, and they can connect that to OER advice and always connect the benefits of the open licenses. If someone struggles with copyright, you advise them to go to open materials, because they will lift the copyright challenges. And then, if you go with metadata, like hosting the OER, storing them, or advising on platforms where to share them for best visibility. But also teaching courses. We all do that in information literacy and trainings for students, or also train teachers on certain aspects of academic careers or pathways or tasks. So training on open education, open science. You can connect that maybe to other open science topics in your training. This would be a good starting point, where you already have the resources in your library, maybe, and then you can build upon that. You can connect that to open education and like that enhance your service. And also there are existing networks in your university or in your institution. You have stakeholders, institutions with who you cooperate, also in public libraries, and identify where the topic of open education might be relevant, or a topic which you can address in an event or in discussions.
Thank you very much, Nicole. Susan, do you have something to comment on the thoughts shared by Nicole concerning your question? I think Nicole was very comprehensive, and we all see how many efforts must be put on the great idea to promote and to educate the people working in university environment and all interested users of the libraries with regard to the use, creation, and distribution of open educational resources. In the moment, I cannot see any additional questions, but let's leave this option open. For the end of the webinar, we can again return to the main aspects of the presentation of our keynote speaker, Nicole Kruger. Thank you very much, Nicole.
Thank you
for your detailed presentation and also a very practical ideas and suggestions shared with the audience. And now we can move to our first student speaker. This is Victoria Ibrahimova. In her presentation, Victoria will show us how the artificial intelligence can be used as a tool for open education in the world of information overload. Victoria, the floor is yours. We are
Thank you.
waiting.
Thank you, Marina. I'd like to say a few words. In many parts of the world, students face significant barriers to quality education due to the high cost of licensed academic resources. In contrast, the rise of open educational resources has enabled greater equity in access to knowledge, especially in societies with limited financial means. A recent example is the growing use of openly available AI tools in higher education to foster collaborative and personalized learning. As technology has advanced, open education has become one of the most common and convenient forms of learning among university students. Open education is the freedom to acquire knowledge according to the opportunities and information access provided to us at our own pace. Thanks to open education tools, content creation by students is generalized within their personal interests from the educational process. The usage of artificial intelligence as a tool for open education has become a rather useful strategy. From my perspective,
Vicky, sorry for interrupting you. Can you please also share your presentation?
Oh, of course, I forgot about that. I'm sorry.
Sorry for interrupting you, but I think the presentation will illustrate the ideas better. So thank you. Thank you very much.
So, yeah. Do you see anything?
Yes, yes.
From my perspective as a student who is engaged theoretically, practically, and with great personal interest in library studies, this experiment about this dialogue I am going to present has... one moment. This experiment was carried out in collaboration with my university professors, Gilgana Yancheva and Vasil Zagodu. This is what we created. Open Education in Action, a student AI dialogue on the future of libraries. The purpose of this experiment is to explore the key technological and social trends related to the future of libraries, the opportunities and risks of introducing AI systems, the ethical challenges related to privacy, disinformation, and human oversight, the prospects of the evolution of the professional role of the librarian in the digital age, the usage of AI as an open educational tool. Methodology and procedure. The methodological framework is based on a simulated dialogue between a librarian, the researcher, and a large language model, ChatGPT. A series of thematically linked dialogues were conducted, converting topics such as digitization, AI in library practice, data protection, disinformation, the professional role of librarians, and ethical norms. The responses to the language model were documented and subjected to qualitative analysis, including thematic coding, comparison of established concepts, and critical evaluation of AI assumptions. No automatically generated data or statistical measurements were used. The study was qualitative and exploratory. There are some limitations in this experiment. ChatGPT is not a source of empirical facts, but a generative model with probabilistic behavior. The information it provides should not be perceived as exhaustive or fully verified. The dialogue cannot replace the opinion of experts, but has value as a method for hypothetical modeling, conceptual clarification, and provoking discussion. The results obtained are of a hypothetical and analytical nature, suitable for formulating research hypotheses and future directions for empirical study. The whole chat contains 10 questions, but I included only 6. So these are the questions I chose. First question, what is the future of libraries in the new information environment? And the ChatGPT answered, here are some key directions for the future of libraries. digitization and access to information, support for information literacy, the library as a community hub, technological innovations, and their role in sustainable development. The second question I asked, can you explain in more detail how artificial intelligence for search, cataloging, and recommendations will benefit the library? AI information search. What is being improved? Natural language processing. Users can ask questions in plain language, and the system understands their intent and finds relevant resources. For example, child psychology books suitable for teachers. Semantic search. AI analyzes content, not just keywords, resulting in more accurate results. Personalized results. The system adapts to the user's previous searches and preferences. Benefit for the libraries, better service without the need for a librarian, increased user satisfaction. AI in cataloging. What is being improved? Automatic categorization. AI can analyze the content of books and documents and categorize them by topics, genres, and key concepts. Metadata extraction automatically creates descriptions, text, and links between similar resources. Multimedia resource processing. AI can recognize objects and text in images, videos, and audio. For example, automatically transcribe podcasts. The benefit for the libraries saves librarians time, increases catalog accuracy and standardization, makes it easier to find poorly described and hidden resources. And AI for recommendations. What is being improved? Behavioral analysis. AI uses history of borrowing, searching, and interests to suggest relevant resources. Enriching the reader experience. For example, a system can recommend new books in a favorite genre or authors with a similar style. Contextual recommendations. Depending on the season, for example, summer reading, or purpose, research work, reading for pleasure. The benefit is it improves user engagement, increases the number of borrowed materials, enables the discovery of lesser known but relevant resources. Of course, this question is crucial. What are the negatives? Loss of human contact and professional roles. The automation of processes such as search, service, and recommendations may diminish the role of librarians. Privacy violation and user tracking. AI systems often require the collection and analysis of personal data, reading history, interests, even location. Bias and inaccuracies in algorithms. Algorithms can be biased if trained on limited or poor quality data. They will make biased recommendations. Dependence on technology and suppliers. Many AI systems are built by private companies. This creates risks to the independence of the library. Cost and inequality of access. Implementing AI is expensive. It requires funds for technology, maintenance, and staff training. How can privacy violations and users tracking be avoided? The answer is minimize data collection, use local processing on-device AI, transparency and informed consent, data encryption and security, ethical AI principles and regulations, training, and digital literacy. The next question. What are the ethical AI principles and regulations from the perspective of library professionals? Answer. Privacy and data protection, fairness and non-discrimination, transparency and explainability, human oversight and responsibility, accessibility and equality, education and awareness, and freedom of expression and access to knowledge. How can the loss of human contact and professional roles be avoided? Now I'm going to read this more with more longer answer because I want to shorten the presentation. The answer. AI is a complement, not a replacement. Artificial intelligence should take over routine and repetitive tasks. For example, automatic cataloging to free up time for the librarian to focus on personal consultations, educational activities, organizing cultural events. The librarian remains a mediator between knowledge and the user, but with new digital tools. Emphasizing the unique human role, librarians offer empathy, critical thinking, and cultural context, things that AI cannot replace. Creating spaces for personal assistance, for example, Ask the Librarian, human reference, or ethical search assistant. The physical presence of librarians in public spaces maintains a sense of community. Retraining and training of library professionals. Continuous professional development. Librarians should be trained in how to use and manage AI systems. New roles such as information navigator, digital mediator, data ethics coordinator, support librarians as digital and AI literacy educators for the community. Or preserving and developing the cultural and social role of the library. Conducting workshops, reading debates, and community events that encourage direct contact. Intergenerational activities, children and adults, with an active role of librarians as facilitators. Human interaction remains key to social integration, especially in a digitally saturated environment. Ethics and advocacy. Librarians can be ethical watchdogs who monitor how AI is used in the institution to protect users in the event of unfair or opaque algorithms. Actively participate in creating policies for the ethical use of AI at local and national levels. Overall, AI is not necessarily a threat to librarians and information professionals, but it can be a tool that enhances or undermines their role, depending on how it is used. The real threat is not artificial intelligence itself, but its uncritical application without librarians' participation in the process. Moreover, the usage of AI as a tool for open education in the world of information overall can be used as a strategy to sort out what kind of information could be useful according to our personal interest. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Vicky, for your very interesting presentation. Before returning to the questions from the audience, I would be happy if Mrs. Kruger comment on Victoria's presentations and also share her thoughts on this experiment demonstrated by the student.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for the very elaborate and great presentation. Well done. Bravo. It made me think a lot. I mean, I had your presentation in advance, so I had a head start. And I thought about what, and if this is open education, if because I looked at your presentation mainly from that perspective, is using AI open education, and will OER and the whole movement of open educational resources stop at that moment where AI trains everyone openly accessible? And so you gave me a lot to think, which is a very important thing in research exchange and in having such conferences and presentations, that you inspire someone to think about old habits and old routines and so on. And first, I think it's a really great project which you did with your professors there and your teachers at the university. So this is a really well done education and very up to date. So reflecting upon librarians' roles in the terms of AI is very important, but I won't comment on that. Rather from my perspective of an OER specialist, because I think what you here presented as challenges of AI. I mean, if we come to the point where we only use AI tools for our education, we never know what are the facts. because facts are usually established by human persons. AI can reproduce them either correctly or incorrectly. And if we ask AI for the sources of their information, I mean, if we just have a dialogue with them on inspiration and to develop things and projects, this is not a problem, because then we can decide if it's relevant or not. But if we learn something about facts and need to know what is true, what is correct, what is real, then we need the sources from the AI tool. And we must ask it, where do you get this information from? And
Of course.
so in my eyes, and then you can respond. So I have a really lengthy reflection. I think it's the more important that AI is trained with open educational resources, because when it gives us its sources and it's really based on the sources, then we need to check, is it really in there? And if AI then names as closed books, paid licensed books, paid resources, then most of the users worldwide can't check if this is really true and if it's really in there in this original resource. So the more we learn with AI, the more it is important that AI is trained with open materials, open educational materials from universities, from high qualitative institutions and trainers and authorities in this field, so that we can then check upon the answers of AI. So I think the future is a world of both sources for learning, AI and the open educational resources. I don't know how you see it, Victoria. Do you want to reply?
Hmm?
Do you want to reply? And what is your perspective on that? Do you think AI
Well,
is the tool for open education and we should rather develop the AI on our own platforms and in-house AI, or do you see a perspective for the traditional open education resources as well?
In my opinion, AI should not be used too much, but it could be used like for some source of guidance through this big mass of information that is popping up every second as we speak. So that's why we should not fully rely on the information that AI provides to us, because it is generated from the open education resources. And of course, we should not forget the human interaction, the human role in this profession. And yeah, that's my opinion. Because AI is not fully it's not full fact. I mentioned at the start of the presentation that there are limitations in artificial intelligence. So yeah, that's my opinion.
Thank you. I mean, I really admire what you did to inspire thoughts in me and reflection and ideas. Will OER have a future there, and how can we implement AI more? Because it's a part. It's open to all, even if it's company based yet still, but in-house AI are developed, and this can be a very relevant aspect and tool for more access to education. So yeah, thanks a lot, and handing back to Marina for now.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Nicole, Vicky. I just want to ask Vicky something else related to the motivation of the students to produce their own open educational resources, because this was also mentioned as a goal set by the librarians. It was in Nicole's presentation that they are also encouraging the students to think and work on this. So can you just share your thoughts what kind of support from us as university teachers, what kind of support you would like to have also from librarians of your institution to go into this direction?
Well, the main motivation is, of course, for me personally, is about the topic. If the topic is linked with who I am, for example, or what are my interests in the, no matter if it's in the library or outside of the library, uh, students can find their favorite topics by the lectures. If they find something interesting that they really like, they can ask their professors for help if they want to do a research about it. And it's really important how the professors will respond to their needs, to their desire to create information. So I think it's about the relationship between the students and the professors. That's one of the things I really like about the university I am, because if it wasn't for the professors, I don't think I could go this far participating in this webinar. And it's really the relationship between the students and the professors, and how they help you shape your future article about something you like, or you found interesting during lectures.
I'm muted. Thank you very much, Vicky. And because we are looking for this vital connection, university teachers, students, librarians, something to add with regard to the expected role of the university librarians, taking into account the situation in your university, the library staff?
Yeah.
Do you think that training sessions must be organized? Is this something you are looking for as a two-year student at your bachelor's program? Sessions, training sessions from the libraries?
Well, as a student for 3 years, actually 3 years. Well,
Yes.
I think I'm at the right place, at the right place in my life right now. I know that if I need some help, I know who to turn to about information, of course. And I don't know what to say.
Thank you very much. I'm happy that you feel in friendly environment. And while waiting to see if our third speaker will be able to join, because she's meeting some technical issues. So thank you very much, Vicky. I see here one question to Nicole. So let's read it. It's from Venus Faet. And the question is, my study is about open educational resources. Just a quick question. Can we collate these open educational resources links and provide to our students, or like embed it to our websites? Thank you. So, Nicole, these are the resources that were in your presentation, I think. Links, open educational resources links. So thank you for this question. Nicole, please.
Yes, if it's about the slides, they are shared here in the Zoom room and they are under an open license. So I put it under Creative Commons license as an OER. You can share it openly on the web, reuse it, remix it, and also contact me if I can add my email contacts in the chat in a minute. So if you need more resources or information, please contact me.
Thank you, Nicole. If some additional clarification is needed, please, Venus Fight, write your comment on the chat. Thank you. Let's just see Uadapo. Do you hear us? Can you please share your presentation just to see if the technical issue is solved? Uadapo is with us, the third speaker. Uadapo, if you hear us, please try to share your presentation just to see if it will work.
Unfortunately, I was not able to reach out to her, so I do not know if she will be able to present.
Yes, it's a pity, but unfortunately, such things happen when we are online. I suggest to make a summary of the webinar. If meanwhile Mrs. Uremi managed to join to open her presentation, of course we can continue as it was planned. But now I would like to give the floor to my colleague Susan List Trethan to make her summary on this very important and interesting topic of open educational resources. Some reflections on both presentations. Susan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Marina. And thank you to everyone who joined this very insightful session of our webinar series for LIS students organized by the IFLA section on education and training. So we started the webinar with a very powerful keynote by Diane Krüger from the Zurich University of Applied Sciences. She emphasized on the central roles librarians play in shaping the OER landscape. She mentioned teaching, repository management, copyright support, and also open science advocacy and the importance of networking. She highlighted how AI presents both opportunities and also challenges. From aiding OER creation to accessibility to also raising ethical concerns about data usage, about licensing, and about transparency. So in my opinion, her message was very clear. She said, she suggested librarians must remain active, critical, and also human-centered in the evolving AI and also OER space. Then we had our first student speaker, Victoria Ibrahimova. She presented on Open Education in Action, a student AI dialogue on the future of libraries. So she shared results of a simulated dialogue that she put up with ChatGPT to explore some opportunities AI sees in the potential of libraries. Her analysis explored ethical concerns such as privacy, disinformation, and she also asked about negatives, whilst also stressing AI's role as a tool and not as a replacement for information professionals. And she also reflected on the role of teachers play in LIS trainings during the Q&A. Our final speaker, Oladapo Oloremi, she should have presented on how OER contributes to the UN Sustainable Development Goals, particularly in health science. We do have her slides, so you can download her slides in the resources if you want to have a look on the topics she would have touched on. So together, our speakers showed how OER and also AI connects topics such as sustainability, education, and also the future of libraries. Both our speakers made clear that librarians, information professionals have an important role in helping create a fair and informed digital world. So thank you again, Diane Krüger, Victoria Ibrahimova, for your inspiring contribution, your expertise, and also your passion for OEI have given us much to reflect upon. I would also like, do you want to add something, Marina?
Your thoughts fully reflect my feelings concerning the today's experience. I just wanted to say special thanks again to Nicole Kruger, to Victoria Ibrahimova, to all people who joined us on the first day of July for this webinar on open educational resources. Thank you, Susan, for the very comprehensive summary. Dear colleagues, you have the email of Nicole Kruger on the chat. You also still have the opportunity to download the presentations from the resource section. So thanks again to everybody who joined us. Please stay tuned, stay informed about our future initiatives, follow our social media accounts of the section on educational training, on the IFO Division C. And we hope that in the autumn we will see you again for the next exciting webinar in which experienced speakers and students will collaborate and share with you their ideas, reflections on different important topics in the field of library and information sciences. Susan, something else from you?
I just wanted to add that we did a recording of this webinar and also recordings of our other webinars in the webinar series. And I just put the link in the chat so you can go over there and have a look. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful remaining working week and also have a nice summer. See you again during the events of IFO section on educational trainings and many other common events we have as a global library community. I'm very glad and very proud to be part of this community. So thanks to all of you librarians, students and university teachers who are supporting us and joining us, giving us some new ideas how to continue our efforts related to new level of education for different players in the field of library sciences. Initiatives we are planning are all related to this. This is the main goal of our section. So thank you again and goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think we can move back to the backstage.
Yes, let's move back to the backstage. And yes, we have some comments here on the chat. People who are